Coffee and Headlines is brought to you by the generous support of our viewers and the following community partners: Best Court Cutting TV, Bluford's Tax Preparation, Bravo's Restaurant Bar, Casa Samtonieta India Lapa, El Rey Lounge de Versalles, John Boutique Hotel and Co-work, Montzon Brewing Company, Puerto Vallarta Neurofeedback, Puerto Vallarta Owners Reps, and Siam Cocina Thai. Thank you for your support, and thank you for supporting our community partners.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our morning get together live on Facebook, live on YouTube, where we are going to take a look. Well, today, we are not going to take a look at news of any kind, because today we're having a special broadcast. Today is all about being a responsible immigrant here in Puerto Vallarta, or in Mexico for that matter. Before we get into the meat of the matter, I want to say hello to everyone that is watching. As always, if you have any important questions or comments, today more than ever, it helps a big deal if you add a capital letter Q at the beginning of your comment. And if you're watching live for the first time, if you're joining us live for the first time, and you type a capital letter N as in new, it'll be a pleasure to welcome you to our cluster. This is what we do. And what we're going to do is, just to give time for people to join us, I want to send good vibes to my dear friend and community partner, Stan, who had an intervention yesterday and is spending the next few days at home convalescing. I wish you well, my dear friend. If you need anything, and I mean anything, let me know. I may not be able to provide, but at least I can do a little dance. Yes, yes, yes. And with that, let's have one of these. Boom, boom. Okay. So, just to remind ourselves on how this came about. Just a few days ago, as you remember, we heard from lovely Aaron, who, along with his husband, and is moving to Puerto Vallarta in a few months, and expressed concern in writing about whether moving to Mexico, he was going to be part of the problem or the solution as it relates to gentrification. And he specifically spoke about wanting to learn about how to be a responsible immigrant. You may remember that I wrote back because I figured when somebody takes the time to write and with generous amounts of words, and if it happens to be a topic that I know something about, I will be so happy to provide a useful answer. So I wrote back asking for more details, like why are you moving here, how familiar you are to Puerto Vallarta, and so forth. So from that conversation, I learned a few things. He wrote back again with a very long, beautiful essay, which I really appreciated, from which we will take away that he and his husband have been visiting Puerto Vallarta for a few decades, so they're familiar with the territory. They have been thinking of relocating here for a few years, but at the end of the day, it's about recent developments going on in the United States. And their immediate goal is to settle in, improve Spanish skills, and establish a sense of community and purpose. And of course, here at Coffee and Headlines, we love community and we love purpose. So I figured even more reason to take this matter to heart and to really put some time into solidifying some thoughts that have been brewing in my mind for some time. Now, I had asked them if they were independently wealthy or if they were planning to work from here or open a business account, and this comment caught my attention. While a label of independently wealthy doesn't land comfortably, I do recognize that we would arrive with privilege. We will own our home with a plan to retire and live off of pension and savings. And Aaron, respectfully, well, first of all, Aaron, thank you so much for your generous essays. I really appreciated reading it. But I would invite you to reconsider this. In my mind, um, showing up with a property that you own and with a plan to retire and live off your savings, it really is not privilege. It's not arriving with privilege. It really means, to me, arriving prepared. Now, you can choose to flaunt that or not. Not too long ago, I received an interesting email from a well known Puerto Vallarta benefactor who told me that this person had just come back from a fabulous trip of extravagance and luxurious and this, that, and the other. And I thought to myself, well, I mean, good for you, but there's no need to rub it in if you catch my drift. So that's the first comment that Aaron made that caught my attention. The second one made me laugh because, in talking about the impact of gentrification in Puerto Vallarta, he very specifically said, this is discussed in a variety of gringo focused Facebook groups, but it's mostly made up of gringos lecturing other gringos. In reaching out to you, I hope for a more Mexican perspective. Well, that's something I can certainly do. But I will say some things to begin with. You will not find anything new here, Aaron. Just a few insights on behaviors that have actually been going on for some time. In fact, for so long that we may have normalized them. And something else that I want to say is, just take what works for you and dismiss what doesn't. There is no complete right or wrong on this business of being a responsible immigrant. We are all immigrants of the planet. We are all part of the problem, and we can all choose to be part of the solution to the extent that we are willing and able to do so. It's simply about making choices. So, in going through these, if you've been a viewer for some time, you will recognize how some of these actually trigger me, and some trigger me more than others. So let's dive in. For starters, my first recommendation is that you embrace the word immigrant and let go of the word expat. That's right. In many parts of the world, the word expat is often used by people from a select group of countries to describe themselves abroad, as if to distinguish their journey from that of other migrants. But the truth is, if you're moving to Mexico to live, you are an immigrant, just as I was an immigrant for 19 years when I lived in the United States. Mexico's immigration agency is called Instituto Nacional de Migración, not the Instituto Nacional de Expats, for good reason. When you use the word immigrant, you're not only aligning with reality, but you're honoring the shared human experience of relocation, adjustment, and mutual respect. You will seldom hear me talking about expats here at Coffee and Headlines. I personally, the word is not for me. So, you know, if you choose to label yourself as an expat, just I invite you to think about why you choose to do so. You also want to consider leaving your expectations at the border. It is so common to hear people say, I've been coming to Vallarta for years, so living here will be easy. But, visiting, even for decades, is not the same as truly living here. Being a local means engaging with the rhythms, the values, and the quirks of life here in Mexico, which unfold in ways that may surprise you. Our country has its own energy, its own systems, and yes, its own language. And we'll get to language in a minute. But, one of the clearest signs that you are still holding on to your expectations is when conversations that you have are peppered with, well, back in the United States, we used to fill in the blank. So if you say that so many times, You may be about to break into your national anthem. So just keep that in check. Let Mexico be Mexico. Our country will show you her magic if you let go and lean in. Another one, respect local rhythms and retire the phrase Mexican time. Life in Mexico flows at its own pace. Appointments may start a little late. Government paperwork might take longer than you're used to. Lines can move more slowly. Stores may unexpectedly close, even if Google Maps says that they're supposed to be open. But here's the thing, that slower rhythm isn't a flaw, it's part of our culture. And learning to move with it rather than against it can be one of the most liberating parts of living here. Also, while you might be using the phrase running on Mexican time for years as a harmless joke, just consider this. When this is said in front of a Mexican national, it might not sound funny at all. It can come across as being dismissive and even belittling, especially when used to imply laziness or disorganization. So instead of mocking the place, try embracing it. It's not about being late, it's about being present. Here's another one, call places by their real names. Puerto Vallarta's neighborhoods already have names, beautiful, meaningful names. Colonia Emiliano Zapata is not Old Town or the South Side. Cinco de Diciembre is not Cinco or 5D, which, let's be honest, sounds more like a bra size than a barrio. Renaming places in English for convenience or branding may seem harmless, but it quietly undermines the culture and history that already exists here. It signals, intentionally or not, that what locals have always called home isn't important enough to you to be acknowledged on its own terms. So learn the real names, say them out loud, use them with pride. It's a small act of respect that speaks volumes about the kind of neighbor you are choosing to be. Here's another one, keep your politics in context. It's natural to want to talk about what's happening back home, but before you bring up political figures or headlines or policy debates from your country of origin, just ask yourself, would I expect a Mexican friend to know these details? The truth is, many of us don't, and we're not obligated to. Just as you may still be learning the name of Puerto Vallarta's mayor, the governor of Jalisco, or even our president, we may not be following the ins and outs of your national news cycle. And that is not a judgment. It's just a reminder that when you live in a new country, it's respectful to tune into this place. Our leaders, our concerns, our context, conversations, go both ways. And meaningful ones begin with mutual curiosity and not with assumptions. Here's another one. Don't count on being rescued. Come prepared. Puerto Vallarta may be known by some as the friendliest city in the world. And yes, you may be lucky enough to find a kind stranger who helps you navigate a sticky situation in English, but that kindness shouldn't be something you expect. It's a gift. It's not a guarantee. Whether you're opening a bank account or changing your phone plan or just trying to buy something at the local shop, you're going to encounter people who speak only Spanish. And that is exactly as it should be. After all, you're in Mexico. Approaching these moments with patience, humility, and a willingness to try, or bringing along a Spanish speaking friend, will get you much further than assuming someone will translate for you on the spot. Now, the flip side of this is expecting everyone to accommodate you and showing frustration when people don't. This sends a hurtful and entitled message. It's not just unrealistic, it is actually unkind. So be resourceful, be respectful, and remember needing help is human. Expecting it as a right, not so much. Here's another one. Oh my God, and this is a big one. This is a loud one. Speaking English louder and slowly does not make it more understandable. Let's clear that up. Volume and repetition are not subtitles for translation. If someone doesn't understand English, saying the same thing louder and slower won't magically make it click for the person that doesn't speak the language. In fact, doing so often comes across as rude, condescending, or even aggressive. And yes, it can be frustrating when communication breaks down, but turning up the volume usually just turns up the tension. Instead, try using gestures or a translation app. Those are in your phone, or those phrases, those Spanish phrases that you've been practicing, right? A little effort and a lot of patience will get you much further than raising your voice. Here's another one. Learn some Spanish, but learning out of respect, not just for convenience. Let's be real. Learning a new language can feel intimidating, but if you're choosing to make Mexico your home, making an effort with Spanish is one of the most powerful signs of respect you can offer. Yes, greetings like buenos dias and buenas tardes or buenas noches can go a long way, but so does trying and fumbling and showing that you care. Now, here's the truth on this one. We Mexican nationals are partly to blame for making it easy not to learn. Why? Because many of us learn English in school and never forget it. So, yes, you can get by without Spanish, especially in a tourist destination like Puerto Vallarta. But should you? Just imagine this. You've been living here for a while, you call yourself a local, and then you find yourself at a street intersection and you ask a Mexican national, isn't la palabra around here in English? Without no greeting, no excuse me, no effort. What we hear when you do that is, whether you meant to say it or not, I live here, but I don't care to learn your language. I expect you to meet me where I am because I am not interested in meeting you where you are. Think about that one for a second. Now, you don't need to be fluent, you just need to try. The attempt, no matter how clumsy, means everything to us. Remember, kindness speaks louder than words, particularly when words are not landing. Here's another one. On top of expecting us to understand English, you expect us to decode your alphabet soup of acronyms like BTW or IMHO or NOTB. That's a lot to ask, my friends. Sure, shorthand is fun among friends who speak the same language fluently, but when you're living in a Spanish speaking country, sprinkling your messages with exotic English centric slang and abbreviations can come off as tone deaf and exclusionary. If you want to be understood and welcomed, speak in a way that brings people in, not one that shuts them out with secret codes. Communication should be a bridge, not a puzzle. And here's another one. Embrace the local culture and truly mean it. I get it. If your dream is to live tucked away in a beautiful Concha China's home with ocean views, go for it. But eventually you'll have to step outside. And when you do, you'll face a choice to genuinely connect with the local way of life or to simply observe it from a distance. True cultural appreciation goes beyond tipping well or smiling at your housekeeper or shouting, ay, 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 when the mariachi strolls by and they're playing a song. It's about everyday gestures, like saying buenos dias as you pass a stranger on the street, or showing patience and curiosity when things don't go quite the way you're used to. Mexicans, we are famously warm and accommodating. And in a place like Puerto Vallarta, where hospitality is second nature, you'll often be treated kindly no matter what. But make no mistake, we notice when someone is truly making an effort to connect with our world, and we notice when someone is not. Your effort matters to us, and it matters often more than you realize. And finally, be curious. Ask questions that matter. You might wonder, what would I ever talk about with a local? But the better question is, how will I ever understand life here if I don't spend time with the people who call this place home? Engage with Mexican nationals. To do so, to truly convivir with Mexican nationals, means asking about more than where to eat and what tour to book. Ask us about our lives. Ask us about our hopes, our beliefs, our challenges. Ask what we love about Puerto Vallarta and what we worry about. Ask what makes us proud to be here. You know, curiosity is one of the most powerful ways to build bridges. It shows that you're not just living in Mexico, you're actually living with Mexico. Not living in Mexico, but living with Mexico. So, living in Puerto Vallarta or anywhere in Mexico is about so much more than changing your address. It's about showing up with curiosity, with humility, and with heart. So, these 11 thoughts are not meant to shame or scold, they're simply gentle invitations to reflect, connect, and step into your new home with open eyes and an open mind and an open heart. Here at Coffee and Headlines, that's exactly what we're about: building bridges between cultures, creating space for learning, and encouraging meaningful, respectful connection with the city and people around us. Whether you tune into our broadcasts every day or catch up on the show notes or join me for a walking tour, you're already taking part of a bigger conversation, one rooted in kindness, context, and convivencia. And I appreciate you for that. So, Aaron, welcome, not just to Puerto Vallarta, but to the deeper, more rewarding experience of being a part of Mexico. Now, let's take a look at the weather. What does the weather have to say? Let's see. Let's see. Rain stopping in 3 minutes. Fuck you for not believing in me. That's what our snarky weather is saying. It is 29 degrees out there. Humidity is at 69%. And our weather forecast says for today, light rain with scattered thunderstorms throughout the day, a chance of rain of 40%, a high of 33, and a low of 24. Then tomorrow, Sunday, mostly cloudy skies in the morning with thunderstorms in the afternoon, a chance of rain of 61%, a high of 32, and a low of 25. And on Monday, we start the work week with partly cloudy skies in the morning with thunderstorms in the afternoon, a chance of rain of 69%, a high of 33, a low of 25. One final comment, if I may. Aaron, you ask if it's possible. Let me tell you something. I have great Mexican friends and I have great English speaking local friends. And you know that what makes them great? Their ability and their willingness and their shameless enjoyment of being here and being a part of here. So if you find a way to connect with here, you will not only be very happy, but you will also become a role model to other people around you. So let's have a look at this before we look at your comments.
It began in a basement in Chicago with a drum machine, a turntable, and a whole lot of soul. It gave a voice to the unheard, a beat to the uninvited, and a reason to move together. from the underground to the main stage, from the back rooms of Chicago clubs to festivals with thousands. It's more than a genre, it's a movement. It's house music. On Thursday, August 7th at 5 p.m., join music storyteller Paco Ojeda for a journey through the grooves that changed the world. Learn how house is different from techno, trance, EDM, and why you've probably danced to it without even knowing it. By the end, you'll understand the sound, you'll feel the culture, and at the very least, you'll be tapping your feet like you mean it.
Oh, yes. I keep forgetting to set up automatic switch to this screen. Lots of good mornings today. Look at that, Jim. Only 8 more days until I am back at my PV home. I already have the next music appreciation event on my calendar. I always look forward to seeing you at those. Thank you so very much. Sean, you make me blush like a schoolgirl. This business of good morning from my bed in Hollywood is almost sexy. No, it's actually sexy. Well, I find it sexy. I'm going to shut up now, okay? Let's see. Oh, speaking of acronyms. Good morning, cluster, from a gorgeous sunny day in my pepper. In Monty Python, of course. Angelica is having a gorgeous sunny day in Monty Python. Thank you so very much for that. Let's see. Peggy! Oh, I'm always so happy to see you. Do you guys know Peggy Nelson? She is the grand president of the Vallarta Friendship Club. An amazing gal with great stories, great heart, and great leadership. Someone everyone should get to know. Let's see. I wish I had ducks to have in a row. Ducks are so much fun. No, but seriously, Laura is right. You need to have your ducks in a row. In moving to PV, you have to meet the criteria and approach with respect and knowledge. Let's see what else we have. Respect the music on the streets or the noise. You know, it's part of the soundtrack. Ironically or amusingly, when we were when I was in Talpa this weekend, the Airbnb manager said, you know, it's gonna get loud. You guys want some earplugs? And you know, it gets loud. It gets loud on weekends. That's what weekends are for. People need to celebrate, and I know we need to rest, but we have a choice. We embrace it or we don't. Food for thought. Let's see what else we have. You think? I have such an issue with acronyms. It's not even funny. So don't get me started. Don't get me started. Hi, Carla. It's always a pleasure to see you, amiga. Te mando un abrazote. Jerome says, are you going to do the presentation on gentrification? No, I don't think so. Did I promise one? I don't think I did. What was requested of me was a presentation on how to be a responsible immigrant. Let's see what else we have. Let's see what else we have. Thank you for that, Barbara. Is it me or did AI just take characters from the film Encanto for these images? I specifically asked for Pixar-style images, which might get me into a copyright riddle, but that's okay. So no, they were not from that movie in particular. And yes, I do have a problem with AI stereotypically portraying Mexicans as people that only wear embroidered clothes, because we wear all kinds of clothes. But I figured, you know, it's just part of the amusement. Let's see. Help the locals when we can. Donate your time, and be grateful for all the locals that embrace us as immigrants. There you go. I mean, this we're just touching the iceberg, Joanne. If I had learned that Aaron and his husband were here to open a business, I might have added other things to that effect. The issue of donating and the culture of giving is a big one and an important one and a complex one. But I appreciate the fact that you bring this up. Thank you very much. Boom, 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 boom. Thank you very much for your nice comments. That is such an easy one, and how easy it is to forget, Peter. When in Rome, do like the Roman do. Be respectful, be mindful. Mindfulness in a new surrounding is so important and so rewarding. You know, when you think about mindfulness as being present with all your senses and with mindfulness of culture and customs and habits, if you take the time to listen, to watch, and to engage, it is a win-win. Lori says, I love what you are saying. I'm only a tourist for a couple of months, but you have filled in a few blanks for me. Gracias. I will do my best to be a good tourist. Well, have a blast, Lori. Again, it's not a pass or fail. It's not black and white. That nobody's perfect at this. But the more you take the time to appreciate where you are when you are there, the more you're likely to enjoy it. Do, 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 do. Oh, yes. Thank you very much, Sean. That is so culturally insensitive, because what may be inexpensive to you may actually be very expensive to someone else. In one of my recent interviews, one that I had with, Pothead Moment from Vallarta Abuelos, which I'll be editing this weekend, and Marie Wise from Vallarta Abuelos. She was telling me about what it costs to send a child to public school, because even when it's public school, you have to buy shoes and uniform and books and utensils. And when you factor the cost of those things and you leverage that against the minimum wage of Mexico, it's, it is expensive. So again, everything so cheap here is another one of those things that, you don't need to rub it in. Thank you for that, Sean. I appreciate that very much. Padam pam pam, padam pam pam. One thing I see a lot in Puerto Vallarta is when I start the conversation in the best Spanish I can, I often get responses in English. What is the correct protocol then? Do you suggest I switch to English or keep trying in Spanish? It happens a lot. Again, there's no right or wrong here, Lynn. A lot of times we answer in English because it's kind of hardwired in our Mexican brains to be of service. It really is. When I visit with Lars in inland, a lot of times, Lars sticks up. He's tall, he's gorgeous, and he's blonde, and he's beautiful, and he's Larsito, and I love him. But, a lot of people will try to speak with him in English because there's a certain pride also in, hey, check it out, I'm educated. But, just continue practicing your Spanish because it will be appreciated. I will confess, there are times in which I'm out and about and I'm thinking, I need this afternoon to be an English break. I'm not going to engage in English because my mind and my soul is asking for that. And I oblige, Sometimes somebody will ask me something, is this mayonnaise? And I'll just say, no entiendo. Because for better or worse, it was a day in which I'm taking a break from it all. Let's see what else. Do-do-do-do. Let's see what else. What else? I think we are at the end of all your comments. So let's wrap this up. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving me another opportunity to help you connect with who we are and what we do. That's what we do here in Coffee and Headlines. If you enjoyed this broadcast, please spread the word. You know what to do. If you enjoyed this broadcast, of course, there's also the opportunity to support Coffee and Headlines through a membership, a monthly or annual membership, or just buy me a coffee from time to time. It shows that you care. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you again on Monday morning.